Saw what my father did and knew that I wanted to touch the lives of our future and wanted to make a difference. And I didn't feel like I was making much of a difference with what I was doing. I liked what I was doing, but I didn't have that inner calling that I was making a huge difference. So that's when I knew that I wanted to get into the education field.
In today's interview, you will meet with Dr. Mulholland. She's the principal of Goldsboro Elementary School. It's one of the magnet school in Central Florida. She started her career as a business professional, but later realized that her calling is in education. Her father was a very successful teacher. He has earned Teacher of the Year awards. But he was the one who told her not to go in education because she won't able to earn enough money. But once she realized that her heart is in education, she changed her career, started as the elementary school teacher, and now she is the principal of Goldsboro Elementary School. So without any further delay, I want to introduce you to Dr. Mulholland. So my goal is to bring the stories from the common people, the people who we live with.
Okay.
And everybody have gone through a journey from their high school to college, to their initial job, and to the position they are now. And throughout this journey, either a situation or a person or a mentor, something happened that kind of directed their career to
What we're doing now?
and
Yeah.
shape. And what they were thinking about when they were in high school and what they become now is different.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of inspiration, a lot of experience. So that's what I try to capture through this. I ask question about what you wanted to become in high school, and then your journey from first job to this job,
Okay.
and then how you manage time, some discussion around goal setting and all, and then finally your message to the audience.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
That's
so
good.
let's begin
Let's
with
do
the
it.
first question.
Okay.
What do you wanted to become when you was in high school?
When I was in high school, I wanted to be a judge.
Oh,
I
wow.
had planned on going to school to
Okay.
be a lawyer and then eventually to be a judge. Once I got into college, I started out at the University of Miami and then to Stetson University. And I had all intensive purposes of taking those political science and history classes, which I started out doing. And then I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit more. So I actually went into the scope of business.
Okay.
And so, in fact, when I graduated with a business degree. And my first job out of school, believe it or not, is not education, which I'm doing right now. I actually did sales and marketing. I worked for a pharmaceutical company for many years.
Sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing, yes. So I utilized that business degree that I had going into sales and marketing. Then, about 10 years in, I was traveling the world. I had lots of accounts all over and decided that I didn't want to travel anymore. And I wanted to get into something that I always wanted to get into, which was teaching. My father was a teacher.
Okay.
My father said, don't get into teaching because you'll never make the amount of money that you will want to, which is probably why I decided I wanted to be a lawyer and a judge in the first place. But somewhere deep inside, I always knew I wanted to get into education.
Okay.
So I actually went back to school and earned my master's and my doctorate in education.
Okay.
In order to be able to teach in the classroom. So I was a classroom teacher for 11 years. Then became an assistant principal, and now I'm a principal.
Okay. Wow. So, did you take a break from the job, or you?
I did it both.
Oh wow.
Yes. So I went back to school while I
Must be
was
a
still
hard
working.
decision.
It was hard. Yes. It's something that you really have to be passionate about and have that drive for. I knew that I liked what I was doing. I loved meeting the people and having conferences and working with physicians. but I knew deep down, which, when you're marketing pharmaceuticals, in a way you are a teacher because you are looking into what pharmaceuticals that you are representing. But I knew that I wanted to do more. I wanted to inspire more, which is why I decided that I wanted to get into the education realm.
That reminded me of my own journey. I completed my engineering in electronic telecommunication, and when I was finishing up my my engineering degree, I was excited and I'm gonna get job and all. And everywhere I went, they declined. They said you need 3 to 4 years of experience, and I said without a job, I'm not gonna get an experience. And so my father always say that instead of sitting at home and trying to wait for a good job or best job, you do whatever you get first. So I got a EPBX intercom system technician job, and from there they saw something and they promoted me to a marketing job. And me being an introvert, I I don't even like talking to like a stranger at that time.
Which is hard because you would have to be an extrovert when you're in types of sales and marketing. Absolutely.
And first 5 months was horrible because every time I come back to my office and my manager was asking how many calls you did, and all I wanted to do as soon as I leave the office, go sit at a coffee shop, and I had to collect all the courage to be able to go and face these suspect and prospect and all that. Right? You probably remember.
Oh yes, I do.
But things change once I get to my first customer, and as soon as I get the first customer, second and third, the entire the way people are looking at me changed from the customer side as well as this. And then those 10-12 months, it still gave me inspiration that I can go and talk to people. And it changed my own perspective about myself, how I was thinking about me being an introvert and not somebody who can talk to people.
And that's what's so hard, because when you're 16, 17 years old, you're in high school and you can start having those visions of what you want to do. I was always an extrovert. And so that's why I was like, maybe with studying law, you're constantly with people, working with people. Then going the business route, I knew that whatever I was doing in business, it would have to be something that I'm around people. That's just for myself, being extroverted. I like being with people. I like working with people. I like making presentations. So all of that worked well. But then I knew I needed something a little more. I wanted something that was also fulfilling, and I didn't feel the fulfillment in what I was doing. And that's why I decided, Dad, I know you said maybe not teaching, but sometimes it's not always money. It's really about how you feel about going into work each and every day. And I knew right away when I had a former principal who took a chance on me, someone with a business background now going into education. And she's just like, I get this feeling of you. And I knew day one that I was doing what I was meant to do. Took a little longer to find that out, but.
I was about to ask, I'm going to move this from here so that it's not in the camera. So, 2 questions on that. Number one, that I think you already answered. How did you find out that you want to be in the teaching line and not in the business line?
So I decided that I always saw what my father did and knew that I wanted to touch the lives of our future and wanted to make a difference. And I didn't feel like I was making much of a difference with what I was doing. I liked what I was doing, but I didn't have that inner calling that I was making a huge difference. And that's why I decided that, it's time for me to make a change. I've done this for many years, and maybe it's time to make that career change and try something different. And so that's when I knew that I wanted to get into the education field.
And for 11 years, you was elementary school teacher, middle school?
Yes, elementary.
Okay.
Yes, so I was an elementary teacher for 11 years. 3rd and 4th grade, the majority of my years was spent in the 4th grade, and I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed getting up every day. I enjoyed the students that I worked with every day. I loved seeing how they started the year with me and where they ended with me and how much growth they made. And I just knew that each and every day that this was something I needed to do, and so glad that I made that change.
And how do you decide between the elementary, middle, and high school and college? I mean, education is
Sure,
everywhere.
yes, because it's hard. So what I first did was I decided, okay, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, so I started to be a substitute teacher, and I did a substituting in both high school, middle, and elementary. And I just knew for myself that I had more of the engagement with the younger kids and focusing on getting them started. I just feel like, if kids aren't excited about school in the younger age, you have a long time that you're in school. So it's very important that they get that feeling and they want to learn. And so I felt like I was really making a difference in the younger grades.
Great. My last question on the journey
Sure.
is from a assistant principal to a principal.
Yes.
It's a big journey.
Yes,
You need recommendation. I mean, there's a lot that they look at.
Yes.
So how was that journey for you?
Sure. So I had a different journey in that I'm actually I was the assistant principal at the same school I'm now principal.
I saw you
That
that.
yes, so that does not happen often. I was actually the principal here for 4.5 years, and then interviewed, because I knew at that point I finished all of my credentials in order to become a principal. And for a principal, you can be either elementary, middle, or high school. You're certified K-12. And so I knew I wanted to stay in the elementary realm to become a principal, and started that process of interviewing. Little did I know that I was interviewing for the school that I was the assistant principal at. And so very different, whereas, you're the assistant principal and stepping into the role of principal where everything stops with you.
Mm-hmm.
Every decision that is made, good or bad, it is your decision that is making it. And that's the big difference between the assistant principal and the principal. Whereas an assistant principal, you work just as hard. It's just that you are supporting the principal at the end of the day when things good or bad happen. Right. It's directed back at the principal. So, but it's a neat role in that I was able to continue on with what my former principal and I, when I was the assistant principal, started, and I was able to continue on with the great things that we had going on here at our school. So just a different journey than most make, because the majority, when you're assistant principal, you're at a school, and then when you become a principal, you usually becoming at a different school. So I haven't had that journey yet. I've only had all of my administrative years, which I'm going on, it's been 8.5 years now, have all been at the same school.
Changing the topic to the goal setting.
Okay.
So we'll start with the time management. You're busy, you have hundreds of things, hundreds of kids, thousands of kids actually, teachers.
Yes.
How do you manage your time? What do you do?
It's very important, especially in a role like this, because you have to look at both your job professionally and also personally. I have children myself, and I have a family myself, so that always has to come first and foremost. But I'm also have a huge responsibility, and many people count on me each and every day. So for the first moment that I wake up, the first thing that I do is make sure I have my to-do list. I know each and every day what my focus is going to be. I'm old school, so I sit and cross off on my to-do list what is done. I know a lot of people use technology now, and that's great too, but
Your pen and paper?
I'm a little older, yes. So I will write out my to-do list. I cross off what is gotten done. Whatever didn't get done starts the top of my next day to-do list. I'm also a huge proponent of Stephen Covey's work. And so I take a look at beginning with the end in mind and putting first things first. What is the most important things that I must get done? Because in the role that I'm in, lots of things come throughout the day, things that you didn't expect that aren't on my to-do list, but all of a sudden are important for me to do. So then at that point, I've got to decide what must get done at this moment, and is it something that could wait maybe a little while until I finish what was on my to-do list. So that's really important, that you know exactly the difference between what must get done and what can wait a little bit, in order to ensure that those things that you knew on your to-do list, I've got to get done, that you set the time to do that. And so to me, it's that organization, it's the to-do list, it's setting those goals. So I know that, for instance, in my role, I've got to be in classrooms. That's a top priority. I've got to see what learning is happening in my classroom. So I've got to set that time to ensure that I'm able to do that, even though I might have parents that need to come speak to me, or there may be an issue at hand. So it's just really important that you prioritize and know exactly what it is that you must accomplish each and every day.
And you using the notebook?
I use the
Pen,
notebook.
paper.
Yes. I'm old school. I have my organizer. I put my to-do list. I cross off. And again, if it's not done, then it starts the beginning of the next day.
It's so amazing that everybody have I spoken to, they're pen and paper.
Pen and paper. Like I said, technology's great. I have my calendar. People can add things to my calendar. But at the end of the day, for myself personally, if it's not me setting my own goals and things that I need to accomplish on a daily basis, other things tend to get in the way.
Definitely.
And so that's why I make sure that old school, pen and paper, I know exactly what I need to get done.
So that's about your daily cross list, to-do list. How about the big goals?
So again, the big goals, I'm again setting my own personal goals and professional goals. I think it's important to have the two because they entwine a lot throughout anybody's journey. But as far as those goal setting, I set those goals, and I'm constantly going back and referring to those goals. Where am I at? Because it doesn't do justice to just set a goal and just think, okay, once I achieve it, great. It's important to see your journey along the way. Where are you at in achieving that goal? Maybe, for instance, there's been times to do that. I might have to rework the goal a little bit depending on what may be going on, outside factors that may hinder what I want to accomplish. And so again, it's really setting that goal for myself, for those around me, for the school, and then revisiting it constantly to ensure that we're on the right path and to achieve that goal.
And this again on pen and paper.
Pen and paper.
Same notebook.
Pen and paper in my notebook. I also have, I sometimes will put sheets up, around so that I can constantly see and be reminded of the goal. Our school goals I have posted throughout the school, so that way you're constantly knowing it and revisiting it, not just having it somewhere that you might see every now and again to be reminded of it.
And you follow any goal setting process, or you have your is there a method that you're following, like you talk about Stephen Covey?
Huge, again, proponent, beginning with the end in mind. It's really knowing that what is it that I want and need to achieve, and then building those steps on how to get there. And so for myself, that's really the integral part of setting a goal, whether again it's personal or professional, is ensuring that you look at all factors that may be a part of that, both good and bad, and then at that point, how are you going to go about achieving that goal? And to me, that's where beginning with the end in mind is so
Definitely.
important. You've got to know exactly where you want to end before you even begin.
Definitely. Slightly different,
Okay.
but connected question. So the execution part, that I want this and this is how I'm gonna achieve it. Sometimes it's really hard to even find what you really want, who you are, and what you want. So
Sure, and it's funny because I'm a little bit older than some, and things that I thought I might have wanted at 20, at 30, even 40, have changed throughout the years.
Definitely.
And so it's really important that I don't want to say go with the flow, but you kind of do go with the flow, because life changes. Things that I thought were important 20 years ago have changed since then. And so as you're looking at setting those goals and expectations for yourself of where you want to be, it's important to know that sometimes it's called life. Life gets in the way. And so it's important to take a step back and see, is this something that I truly am inspired to want to do, or is it something that I, may want to change a little bit? We're only here once.
Right.
And so to me, you've got to live it to the fullest and do what you really like and want to do. I learned that myself because, again, with my father, and he was a outstanding teacher, teacher of the year, everything. And he loved what he did, but the money factor wasn't there. And so I think that in hearing that always, you're never going to make any money. Even when I decided I was going into the teaching profession, I heard that from him as well. What are you doing? You're never going to make. And I learned quickly that's not always about how much you make. And so that was a goal, that changed. When you're 18 years old, you think, oh, I'm going to get out of college and I'm going to make $100,000 a year. And come to find out that very few jobs out there are you going to make that probably ever, let alone when you first get out of college.
Yeah. I'm sure your father is so proud of you.
Oh, yes.
With your journey,
yes.
where you
yes.
are today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you see your journey so far?
I love what I do. That's each and every day. I'm passionate. I know that I'm doing what I was meant to do. Might have taken a little bit of time. And that's, I tell my own kids and I tell everybody else that you may not know what you want to do, and you may change your mind several times along the way. And that's okay. To me, at the end of the day, it's that fulfillment in knowing that I love what I do. And so I love the whole part of educating. I love the whole part of knowing that you are making a difference in the lives of children and the lives of our future. I love seeing when I have former students get in contact with me to let me know where they are and what they're doing. Students that I taught, 15 years ago are now starting their own lives. And it's just interesting that I was a part of that journey for them. And so for myself, that just makes everything that I've worked towards that much more.
Inspirational.
Inspirational.
The last segment is your message to the audience.
Okay.
And the audience are two. One are who are still a student, trying to finish their high school, college, and they don't know what's out there. And then the second is who are in the early career, maybe a year, maybe 5 years, and they're still trying to figure out what they can do today that has a higher impact 5 years, 10 years down the road.
So my first, gotta finish school. That's the first and foremost thing. Even if you're taking those classes that you may wonder, and you always hear this a lot, why am I sitting in this class? What am I ever going to do with this? You never know when you're going to refer back to some of the things that you are learning in that class you may be sitting in right now, going, what am I ever going to do with this? It's important to also know that it's okay if you're not 100% sure what you want to do. I myself, as I mentioned in my story, I started out completely different than what I'm doing right now. And I'm glad for it. I learned a lot along the way, and life is a journey. And it's important, you will consistently learn along the way. If you feel that you know everything right now, there's no way you can know everything right now, because until you experience things, you don't know. And so for myself, my message to everybody is take those risks. Don't just set on one thing and think that that is exactly what you're going to be for the rest of your life. Try different things, and then make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing, because that's really, at the end of the day, we're only here once. And so it's really important that you know that this is something that you want to do, you're passionate about what you're doing, and that you know that you are making a difference for yourself and then for others around you. And so that's my main message as I speak to students all the time who don't know. And it's okay not to know. You're not going to know. It is okay. That's what life and your experiences are all about, good and bad. Those bad experiences, we learn from them, and the good experiences, we learn from them. It's how we go about what we have learned through those experiences and grow and become a better individual, a better citizen in society. That's really what life is all about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. There's so much that you have shared can be used by anyone, whether they are in a school, college, or in their early, or even people
Sure.
like me, like
Absolutely. And
we
never
have
give up
crossed.
because you never know. And that's my big thing. Never give up. Keep going for what it is that you are striving for.
And keep your option open,
Yep.
keep your mind open. Don't restrict yourself that you can only do this or
Right.
that. And life and the people around you, situation that you will come across, will guide you at some time. And it's one of the big thing for me that it's hard to find what is my passion and what is who I am and what I want to do and
Right.
things like that. Purpose, right? Sometimes it can completely destroy you.
Sometimes. And that's where that experience,
Yeah,
sometimes it takes that to
right.
know, wow, this isn't what I thought it was. And maybe I do need to try something else. And so
Exactly, and
that's important.
that's exactly is try many things
Mm-hmm.
and don't wait for the purpose or passion or if you
Yep.
don't know, that's completely fine.
That's
Just keep
okay.
trying
Keep
things, and
trying.
then you will know what your body, what your energy
Mm-hmm.
is responding to.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. All right.
Cool.
This was great.
I will
How
take few
fun.
minutes to wind up. Thank you.
Of course.